Hi guys! I hope you all had a great Christmas. Now, I have been nominated by my friend Triple J to do a 10 things that you may not know about me challenge. Actually, I don't know if it is a challenge, whatever it is anyway. It's just basically me telling you 10 things that you may not know about me. So here we go. Now this all started back in school, back in my primary school, when I went, when we started doing swimming. I went swimming and you hold onto those little floats and start kicking your little legs about and you start going along and you think, yeah, this is all cool. Well, after I'd been swimming, I came home and I had this pain in my knee. It was like an aching pain and it really hurt. I then went swimming again. Went swimming in there, splashing around with the little floats. Come home, got this same pain. So my mum took me to the doctors and the doctor said, it's rheumatism. He said, you know, has he been swimming or out in the cold? And she said, yeah, he's been swimming. He's just started swimming in school. So he said, he can't do the swimming. He said, if it's really painful like that, then that's what's causing it. It's the cold from the cold water. So I then had to be excused from swimming because it was just too painful for my legs after. Now, to say I hated school is a bit of an understatement. I had what is probably now something diagnosable. There must be something now called school phobia. And I must have had it worse than anyone. Now, it wasn't the fact that I just hated going to school. It was just the fact that my school sucked. And it just caused me so much hassle in my life because I just never wanted to go. I used to be dragged there and put in the classroom and sat down at the desk. And it was because you just couldn't learn in my school. The whole of the lessons, well most of the lessons, the place was just full of kids that didn't take any notice at all of the teachers. It was just bedlam all the time. Now, where I never used to go, my dad used to have to go to court and get the shit fined out of him constantly. So what I did in the end is just decided to not go to any of the lessons I didn't like. You know, it was that simple. If I had a lesson that I didn't like, I simply didn't go to it. I just walked out and went over the park with my mates and sat on the swings for an hour. Then I would eventually get caught doing this and then I'd be put on report. And what that was is you got this report card that you had to have signed by all your teachers from each lesson. So I did this and every Monday I had to give it to my headmistress. And I noticed that every time I gave her this report card, she'd just glance at it, throw it in the bin and give me a fresh one. There you go, see you later, son. So I thought, okay, well there's obviously a simple answer to this. I just forged the signatures of all the teachers from all the lessons and just didn't go to the ones I didn't want to go to again. And every Monday morning, I'd hand in the report card, she'd just glance at it, throw it in the bin, go, there you go, there's another one. Job done. Now, don't you do what I do, kids. If there's any kids watching, don't do what I did. My school was just really rubbish. So stay in school. I used to watch kung fu films when I was a kid. I used to love them. And there was this one that I was watching once called Queen Boxer with Judy Lee. And I can't remember exactly what happens, but she's got this knife. And this guy comes up to like punch her and she sort of grabs his arm, puts him in like a sort of arm lock. And then she gets the knife, throws the knife up and catches it and then stabs him in the ribs. So one day I'm in the kitchen and there's this knife. It's like a little knife like this, about this big. And I've started reenacting this scene. So the guy's come to punch me, I've put him in an arm lock and I've got the knife, thrown it in the air, caught it and then gone bang! Only I stabbed myself in the leg. So I've looked down and there's this hole in my leg. It didn't bleed or anything, it was just this big deep hole. And it had butter inside the hole because there was a bit of butter on the knife. And so the butter had come off of the knife and was inside the hole. So I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? My parents are going to kill me. So I just cleaned out the butter, I put plaster on it and just left it and just hoped that it would be okay. And it was. It eventually just sort of closed up and scarred over. So now I've got this big scar on my leg, and all the muscle around it goes. It's all the muscle around it is all numb. Yeah, so it's all weird feeling right round there. It must have just got into the muscle, I guess. This one, I think probably a lot of people already know, but in case you don't, I have epilepsy. And what you might not know is the type of epilepsy I have. It's a kind of pseudo-epilepsy. What that means is my body will emulate an epileptic seizure rather than it being an actual epileptic seizure. And basically what it is it's all caused by stress. And what happens is if my brain becomes too stressed, it has like a safety mechanism which will just shut down part of the brain completely, in which case I have a seizure. But I won't completely lose my mind. So it is, as I said, it's a safety mechanism. It's actually kind of a good thing, because I'd rather that than end up in a funny farm. Yeah, I don't know whether anyone don't know this, if I'm honest, but you know, my favourite band is, of course, the one and only Pink Floyd. What you may not know is I actually hated Pink Floyd at first. When I first heard Pink Floyd, I didn't think much of them. A friend of mine played Dark Side of the Moon, and I thought, you know, it's nothing really special to me. I didn't really sort of like it. At the time I was into like Frankie Goes to Hollywood and stuff like that. But then my dad had all these cassettes that he bought as blank cassettes, but they still had stuff on them. And one of them had just Pink Floyd written on it. And I started listening to it, and it turned out to be the Animals album. And I remember listening to it and I thought, I actually kind of like this, you know. And I told my friend about it. I said, I've got this one. I said, like, I don't know what one it is. And I just told him some of the lyrics. He said, yeah, it's Animals. He said, that's a brilliant album. So I said, yeah, I kind of like it. So then he started playing Dark Side of the Moon again, and then I started listening to it again, and I thought, no, actually, I can actually get into this, and I did. And eventually, you know, I just fell in love with their music. I think they're absolutely fantastic. Now, when I was about 18, something like that, I fell in love with the singer Kate Bush. Now, I'd always liked Kate Bush since I was about 8 years old. She'd been away for quite some time, and she'd come back with like Running Up That Hill and Hands of Love, and I remember buying the Hands of Love album, and I loved the album, and I fell in love with her. So I read this book, and it actually was telling you where she lived. So I found out where she lived by using an A to Z, and my friend one day drove me over to where she lived. We went and found the place, and we found her house. So we went in, had these great big gates that was actually open. We went in, we went and like rung the bell, and out came Kate Bush's mum. And I remember just saying to her something like, I wanted to join the Kate Bush fan club and I can't find it out how to do it. So she said, oh, I'll get you some forms. She went, just wait there, don't worry. And yeah, and we had a little chat at the door, and I said, like, you know, is Kate in? She said, no, she's not in. She was in, actually. She was recording her new album, because her studio was actually there. It was like a big barn that she'd converted. But, you know, I got to talk to her mum, which was kind of cool. And I now live about 1 minute around the corner from where she used to live. That actual house now on the corner here is the house where she grew up. I don't know who owns it now, because both her parents are dead. So I don't know who owns it now, but the house is actually still there, and I still think she's great. Yeah, I had this art teacher who, she always used to wear these like sort of low cut tops, and I'd be sort of like drawing or whatever I'd be doing, and she'd always sort of come and lean over and say, oh, that's really good, Jeff, you're quite an artist. And I used to sit there and think, Yeah, so art was a lesson I never ever missed. I think I used to have it on a Tuesday, and I never had a Tuesday off. It was very rare. I didn't go in on a Tuesday, and I went in on a Tuesday just because I had art. And when it came to picking your options, which I think was the following year, you could go and see the teachers and discuss your options with them. You know, and my art teacher said, you should definitely pick art. She said, because you're very, very good at it. And so I said, well, will I have you, as the teacher? And she said, no. So I didn't pick art. I picked graphic design instead, which was a big mistake because everyone that picked graphic design were all psychopaths. So I used to go to graphic design and have to sit in this lunatic asylum. It was like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with all these crazy people that was all constantly trying to kill each other. Yeah, so it was a bad decision. Another one you probably already know. Yep, my favourite game is Resident Evil. Always has been, always will be. I always wanted a game like it. My nephew showed me this game and that was it. It blew me away. Way back in the day of the PlayStation 1. And I thought, this is it. This is the game I want. I've been waiting for this game for so long. And I finally got it. And like the characters were great in it. The story was great. Absolutely brilliant. And I'm really looking forward to Resident Evil 7 coming soon too. I think I had the worst case of acne ever. I remember walking into a skin specialist office because after so many years nothing was clearing it up. And I remember walking into this office and the doctor sort of looked at me and he went, do you mind if I take some photographs of you? So I said, no, not at all. He went, oh, very, very good. He went and got his camera. And then he went, do you mind if I bring some students in to take a look at you? I said, no, that's all right, And would you like to put me in a cage and put me in the circus sideshow while you're at it? But yeah, I had the worst case of acne ever. And it wasn't just spots, it was like big, massive boils, and some were sort of covering up my eye. I couldn't even see sometimes. And I had these big things, it was like horns growing out of my nose. It was absolutely dreadful. And it was all over my back, all over my chest, all over my shoulders. It was everywhere. And I used to wake up in the morning and the whole of my bed was full of blood where all the boils have all popped in the night. It was absolutely awful. And it turned out that it was a gland which was overactive and producing way too much oil. So I took this drug that shut down this gland completely. Then my face completely dried and was crumbling off as I used to speak. It was a horrible time, guys. But yeah, I think I did have the very worst case of acne ever. I really don't. It is so difficult for me to name a favourite film because I just love so many different films. And it all started when my dad asked me what's my favourite film. And I just sat there and I was thinking, I honestly don't know. There's so many films that I like. There's so many really good films, but I just can't ever pick a favourite film. Right, I think that's it, guys. Now the time's come to nominate 3 people to do this same thing. And I'm going to nominate Miss Smiley 78, who has just popped up as I have said her name. How cool is that? My good friend Ralph, who is likewise for gaming. And finally, my good friend Chris, that's Bakersfield Paranormal Servicings. So that's the 3 people I've picked. Like I said, I hope you all had a great Christmas, guys, and I hope you all have a fantastic New Year. And in the meantime, take it away, Miss Smiley.
In the meantime, guys, have a good day.